Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com, back with a Pittsburgh Steelers preview and prediction for the team's Week 5 game against the Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh 2-2, Baltimore 3-1. Let's talk about this game. We'll start with the Ravens offense, and the core, especially in the run game, is still the same despite a change in coordinators going from Greg Roman to Todd Monken. And so I think the first thing you look at with Baltimore is the quarterback element in the run game. How do you handle that? The read option, the design, quarterback power, which typically is going to happen in more low red zone situations, 10-yard line and in with Lamar Jackson. He's got 4 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. But do you do the mesh charge where you're going to attack the quarterback at the mesh point on those read option moments every single time, force the give and force the running back, whether that's Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Melvin Gordon to beat you as opposed to Lamar, or do you do something else, scrape the linebacker? So how do you solve the run game? That's going to be important because there's a lot of variety. And of course, Jackson is a supreme threat. In the pass game, I'm seeing more motion, I'm seeing more vertical shots, and just more talent. They're going to be healthier this week. I don't know. I'm recording this on Friday evening. If Odell Beckham Jr. is going to play, he's officially questionable, but Zay Flowers is there. It appears Rashad Bateman is going to play. Mark Andrews, of course, has been a staple in that passing game as a likely number 2 tight end. And so you're going to have to defend some more people, and I think their pass game is more of a threat. It's more potent, and so you can't just sell out and stop the run and expect that will take away the Ravens' offense. Lamar's not having a really good season. His completion percentage is up 12 points from where it was last year. It's one of the highest in football, and he's getting the ball out quicker. His snap-to-throw time in 2022 was 3 seconds. That was one of the longest in football. This year, it's 2.66 seconds, which is 9th fastest in football. So the ball's coming out more on time, in part because of the designs, and in part because there's more talent. If there is a weakness, it's going to be along the offensive line and the tackles. Right tackle Morgan Moses is expected to miss this game. Don't know with certainty the status of left tackle Ronnie Stanley. I think he's going to play, but he is not the Ronnie Stanley of old. And so can Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt win up front? That's going to be critical, as it is in virtually every single game. That's an area where Pittsburgh might have an advantage. And the inside linebackers, can they fill the run? Landon Roberts probably going to play a lot in this game. That's going to be important. And let's just see what defensive changes occur. Sounds like Braden Fehoko is going to get a hat in the middle. He'll plug the run. Desmond King, a physical slot nickel corner. How does that rotation look? We probably will see some changes there. So those are things to look out for. Don't expect Joey Porter Jr.'s role to change, though. It sounds like that's not going to be the case, and I wonder if they worry about the lack of the tackling, and I don't want to say lack of physicality because I think he's a willing guy, but when you're playing Baltimore on the perimeter, you better be good tacklers. Porter has struggled there, although to be fair, so has Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace. Defensively for Baltimore, it's a really strong and stout unit, as it always is. The run defense routinely, and this year no exception, among the best in football. Their front seven is excellent. It's really hard to run on these guys. They have not allowed a rushing touchdown this year. And Pittsburgh has 0 rushing touchdowns on offense this year, which has not happened over the team's first 4 games since 1990. If it becomes 5 straight, that'll be a franchise first. And so records you don't want to set, but one that could happen. I think Baltimore is more vulnerable to the perimeter runs, the things on the outside, more outside zone type stuff, but that's not Pittsburgh's personality. So do you do the thing that you're not that good at, that they're not that good at defending, or do you try to rely on the thing you're better at? I wouldn't call Pittsburgh good, but they are better downhill between the tackles, man duo scheme. So I think how Pat Meyer, the O-line coach, schemes things up will be important, but really it's going to come down to the play of the offensive line and how physical they can be and if they can create movement up front, because without a run game, Pittsburgh is not going to have much of a chance in this one, obviously. Pass game, the corners are a little bit weaker for Baltimore. Don't know if Marlon Humphrey is going to play. He was a full participant Friday, so it sounds like he's going to, but that's not set in stone. So if he's out, they are going to be a bit weaker there. The safeties are really good, and they're getting back Marcus Williams. They primarily play a 3-safety package in most situations, even in, third and long situations. They're not in dime. They're staying in a nickel, big nickel, I guess you can call it, with three safeties of Marcus Williams, Geno Stone, and Kyle Hamilton, who's having an unbelievably good year. He's got 3 sacks. He's got an interception. He's got a forced fumble. He's all over the place. And so number 14 is the guy you have to account for defensively if you're Pittsburgh, or when you're on offense, to account for him on the Ravens defense. They mix up man and zone. Third down and 6+, they're going to play cover 1. They're going to drop a nose tackle too, and they're going to blitz. They're going to blitz Hamilton from the field side. They're going to send the linebackers a lot. They're going to send Queen. They're going to send Roquan Smith, and those guys do not come off the field. Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith playing 97% of the snaps this year. So in Pittsburgh, whenever they're in their dime defense, you have one inside linebacker on the field. Baltimore is not going dime. They're keeping both those guys out there because they're really talented and they've invested a lot in each guy. And of course, on special teams, Justin Tucker is still Justin Tucker, and he can get you 3 pretty easily. You get to the 40-yard line, and you're basically in range. The punter situation, Jordan Stout's coming off a good game. They've had a change there when they went from Sam Cook to Stout, and so the punter battle could always be important. And, Pittsburgh will have Brad Wing, Presley Harvin is out, and Chris Boswell, who is, obviously extremely good. So all that said for my prediction, and I've talked about the Ravens in a pretty notable way where you don't see a lot of paths to victory if you're Pittsburgh, but I'm taking the Steelers, 17-16. I was one of the few to take the Texans last week, so I'm going to try to ride the lightning here and hope it works in Pittsburgh's favor. And I don't have a great X's and O's reason for it. I just picked Pittsburgh because the Steelers, for whatever reason, just seem to be a much better team when they're backed into a corner, whenever it's kind of do or die. And I know it's week 5 and they're 2-2 and the season does not end if they lose. But if you win, you're 3-2 entering the bye in first place in the North. If you lose, you're 2-3. Baltimore's 4-1. They beat the Titans next weekend. They're 5-1. It's a big climb. But these Steelers-Ravens games are always close, always competitive, always come down to the final 5 minutes, and Pittsburgh is typically stronger in those situations. They have historically had as much success against Lamar as any defense has. That's also going to work in their favor, and I just think it's a very Steelers thing to do to get blown out by Houston and then come back and beat Baltimore the next week. So definitely, if you're talking about where my head is at, Baltimore on paper, the superior team, but throw that stuff out the window when it becomes Steelers-Ravens. I'm taking Pittsburgh. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you pick to win this game? Do you have Pittsburgh? Do you have Baltimore? Give me your score prediction in the comments. Appreciate you guys watching. Again, if you could like this video, subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate that. We'll have a recap after the game on Sunday, film review throughout the week. You guys know the deal, so thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.